Welcome to OX Academy. At first glance, what you see in front of you is just a single line, but in reality, it is the beginning of representing a human being through my perspective and learning. This line, for example, represents a human being, but if we bend it slightly, we create the aesthetics of the line or something similar, let's say, the form of a woman's sensuality. If we add color to this same line, we assign it a soul, and the line begins to gain life energy, though soul might be an exaggerated way to put it, as it delves into religion. If we then add this blue circle, we introduce the brain and the five senses that a human possesses. Since this is just an introduction, I won't go into details. Instead, we will continue learning. Now you know what I consider the aesthetics of a complete person and that every person has five senses. We receive most information through vision, did you know that? When we look at an object, the eye sends signals to the brain about what that object or person is like. Now, if you want to reduce the flow of light information to the eye, you simply lower your eyelids to the point where only a little light reaches the eye. By reducing the flow of light, you have unconsciously activated your sense of hearing, as in the absence of vision, hearing is what a person naturally relies on. And this is how you have learned the first technique of consciously manipulating the senses. By the way, the senses can be manipulated, for example, hearing with your eyes, seeing through touch, and various other ways of sensory manipulation. Another unconscious technique, or rather an awareness for you, is that if someone next to you is eating food, your mouth may start to water. This doesn't happen because you are hungry, although if you are, that would be an additional stimulus for your senses. It happens because the senses of the person who is eating are being stimulated in one direction, so to speak, while the senses of the person sitting next to them, whose mouth starts to water, are being stimulated in the opposite direction. Until balance is achieved between the sensory energy levels or stimuli, both individuals will unconsciously find equilibrium, but the effect, in this case, is the salivation in the mouth. How do the senses recognize all of this? We will leave that for future lessons. This is just an example of how we receive signals without being consciously aware of them or being trained to recognize how our senses work, even in such a seemingly simple situation. In fact, what you globally refer to as the sixth sense is not developed to the extent that you can consciously control it. Instead, you only experience its effects. So, this is the explanation for the sixth sense, or you can call it whatever you like, depending on the cultural, religious, and sociological perception of your environment and, consequently, yourself. There is something I call introspective isolation. It is useful for getting to know yourself better and avoiding the influence of external information. Isolation is achieved by recording 5 songs on your phone that resonate with you and questioning why they do. Reflect on your feelings, memories, everything you conclude on your own is positive. Now, also record one song that, for some reason unknown to you, does not feel right, and analyze it in the same way as the songs you love or find dear. This method works best when you wear headphones and maximize the volume, fully immersing your sense of hearing in the sound. You should avoid watching television or exposing yourself to that kind of propaganda, or if you do watch it, listen to music at the same time while continuously analyzing your thoughts and emotions, both positive and negative, as well as your feelings. If your sixth sense is working, and I guarantee that it is, 75% of the information in terms of thoughts and emotions will reveal itself as not being a part of you, your integrity, or your true self, but rather as something coming from external stimuli. This process strengthens your integrity and increases your self-awareness. Listening to music in this way is recommended for 4 hours a day on repeat, and over time, you will begin to see yourself as you truly are. I also suggest conducting a detailed online search on introspective self-observation to better understand the concept of introspection itself. Do you remember the line from the beginning and how we breathe life into it, turning it into a person? Well, every such person has an aesthetic color of life energy. I can explain it similarly to how everyone has a different eye color. It is very similar, and yes, eye color influences life energy. What I am about to explain may sound a bit absurd, but I hope you will understand it over time. I kindly ask you to avoid any religious, cult, occult, or sectarian conclusions. You can sense other people's presence through these energy colors or life energy colors. Yes, it is possible. But this is a highly advanced technique that requires an enormous amount of energy to perceive all presences. However, if you manage to sense just one, believe me, you will never forget that feeling again. You will even be able to access the introspection of that presence you have felt, something similar to telepathy, but here, you are defending your integrity and your true self. Do not forget this. This falls under the metaphysical aspect, where, by using the sixth sense as we may call it, you access something that disturbs and influences you. Simply knowing that someone is affecting you when they do is enough to protect your integrity and your true self, because you have the memory of positive and negative emotions from practicing introspective isolation, allowing you to recognize the hidden influences. Some people have such highly developed emotional intelligence that they can predict events. This is the metaphysical benefit that helps you stay true to yourself. Nikola Tesla once said, when asked where the ether is, it is within yourself. Once you master the techniques mentioned above, it is crucial to understand the nervous system, acupuncture points, and pressure points. These techniques are used by high-level state intelligence and counterintelligence agencies, so it is essential that you remain ethical, moral, and just in every sense. You will always be faced with two choices: choose good, positivity, and actions that do not harm anyone. The course I am introducing in this video will be published periodically and is multidisciplinary. To be clear, it can be applied anywhere, in any profession, and as a way of life, it has brought significant changes to me. This method is transcendental and enables faster information transfer simply by establishing eye contact. It is logical, clear, and precise. Here is an image showing which part of the brain processes all this information in just a few seconds. Most streamers don't understand why they experience neck and occipital pain. This happens because of the high influx of information that they cannot fully process or perceive. This pain is a symptom of cognitive overload, but it is also evidence that this rapid transfer technique is real and occurring. A side effect for people with vision problems is that it may further weaken their eyesight, but the pain in the back of the head is actually a sign of strengthening brain muscles. This is ultimately a benefit for streamers, as it will allow them to stream for longer periods. And as the final area you will learn in this course, projecting movement while being physically still. This means that you do not move, but you mentally project movement, similar to the image shown earlier. So, while you remain motionless, you should project an action. To start, This could be waving as a greeting or mentally projecting blowing a kiss with your hand. Just to clarify, people who dance, practice martial arts, or train in Tai Chi naturally enhance this ability. I deliberately chose this image for the video because, in reality, he is standing still, but his mind is moving incredibly fast, and that is the key: you gain speed. Now, something very important, you must have a high level of self-control, because you may find yourself unconsciously using these techniques in situations unrelated to business or personal growth. Through my experience, I have noticed that when I apply a metaphysical approach to introspection and energy projection onto an entity, a glitch occurs. These are involuntary twitches that become noticeable, and I call them glitches, an impulse or an error in the entity that you can then link to a variety of other techniques for protecting your true self. One thing is certain: you will constantly face mental and emotional resistance. This course announcement is strictly intended for individuals in business. If my course is applied for any other purposes, I cannot be held responsible for the actions of others. Welcome to OX Academy.